There you are. I lost you.
I had to grab a screenshot real quick.
Oh, awesome. Well, I'm sorry that I was standing right in the middle. You want to do another one and I'll move out of the way?
Golden.
Hello, hello.
All right. Get ready. We're at 10:59. Probably get started here in just a second. Hello, everyone. Come on in to track 4. We're about to get started with our 11 a.m. session. Come on in and take a seat. About to get started here in just another 30 seconds. Oops, sorry about that. All right. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me in the chat box. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me in that chat box below. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. Welcome back. Good afternoon. Welcome to the welcome to the Track 4 sales track here for Shareholders Summit. Today, we are so lucky to be hosting this amazing breakout session. My name is Candice Garcia. I am part of the agent development team, and it is my honor to present today Mr. Kyle Whistle. He's going to be talking to us about how to create a sale every week. Now, before we get started, I want you to know that my team is here. We're going to be able to assist with any questions you may have in that chat box in the bottom left-hand corner. So if you've got any questions about shareholders, let us know there. If you're having any technical issues, you can put it in that chat box. You can also find more info about the shareholders event by clicking the shareholder icon on the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Before we get started, I want to turn all of your attention to the slide here over my right shoulder. We just want to cover some housekeeping items really quickly. Want to make sure everybody has their microphones on mute for the duration of this course. Just make sure you've got that red Ghostbuster sign going through your mic there. If you've got any questions for our presenter, you can put them in the chat box in the bottom left-hand corner. I'm sure Kyle will save some time at the end for some Q&A as well. If you're having audio issues, please try exiting the auditorium or the world. If that doesn't work, you can always try listening in on our EXP mobile app or head over to tech support. If you would like to see the screen behind me, you can also utilize the screen zoom feature on the very top of your screen or the stage zoom feature at the very bottom. All right, before we hand it over, Kyle, just want you to know we're here to support you. If there's anything you need, just let me or my team know. And just want to thank you so much for coming in and for everything that you do at eXp as one of our icon agents. We know you are amazing, so thank you so much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Kyle Islow.
All right, guys, what's up? If you guys can just give me a thumbs up, make sure that audio is all good, it's clear. If you guys can throw some thumbs ups in the chat, awesome. All right, cool. So I got about a day notice for this. I am going to do the absolute best that I can. I put together a little slide deck for you guys to give you some tips on how to go out there to create a sale every single week. Now, I don't want to talk for the entire time. I think we got about 50 minutes or so. I would love to do a lot of Q&A at the end, so I'd really love for you guys to hang around till the end. At the end, I'm also going to give you 5 of my favorite technologies as well that I want to share with you guys. So here's the thing. What I'm going to tell you today is probably not going to like blow your mind and be, oh my God, I just got, oh, my slides are just like going on their own. That's cool. I don't know how that works. All right. So what I'm going to talk about today is this iceberg image. Some of you guys have seen this. If you are on Instagram, Iconic probably retargets you with this ad. But the iceberg of success is something that I think is really, really important. Everybody who's been up on this stage or any of these stages this week for the Shareholder Summit, none of those people just magically sold 50 homes a year, 100 homes a year, 200. This year we'll sell somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 homes this year. That doesn't just happen. There is a ton of work that goes into it. There's so much stuff that's happening behind the scenes that nobody knows about, that nobody's seeing, that nobody's talking about. There's a ton of different things that are happening in there. There's disappointment, there's discipline, there's sacrifice, there's failure, there's dedication, there's persistence, there's resistance. There's so many things that are happening below the surface before you ever see somebody actually hit that level of success where they get onto your radar. There's not a magic pill. There's not an app that you're going to download that you just hit a button and it magically helps you sell 50 homes a year. There is a ton of hard work that goes into actually doing that, right? If any of you guys have ever gardened before, right? You've got to prep all the dirt. You've got to get it all ready. You've got to put the right soil mixture in there, the right nutrients in there. You got to plant the seed. You've got to spend time watering the seed. You've got to make sure you get the right combination of water, the right combination of sunlight, all of that to actually have this thing grow from a seed and actually pop out of the ground and grow and then eventually bear fruit. It doesn't just bear fruit day one. You've got to actually put some work into it. And what I want to talk about today is a lot of the work that goes into these things before you ever see them pop out of the surface. So first and foremost, when you think about how you run your business, you've got to think of it, no idea how these slides are just going. So we can figure out how these things just keep changing on their own. Think of your business as a hub and spokes. The most important part of your business is the hub of your business. That is the centerpiece. And in the real estate business, that hub is your CRM. Your CRM is everything in your business. It is the most important tool, the most important asset. It is the most important thing in your business. One of the beautiful things about being here at eXp is they were genius in partnering with one of the best CRM providers in the industry. There's a lot of other companies that are out there trying to build their own CRMs and build their own technologies right now. Ask any of the agents in those companies how those technologies are working out for them. Because the answer is they're not. None of those companies have fully functioning built out CRMs. What I love with eXp is that instead of trying to build their own, which costs way more money than anybody ever thinks and takes way more time than anybody thinks, they just went out and partnered with one of the best CRM providers in the industry, which was formerly known as Conversion. If you guys don't know the background, Conversion and InsideRealEstate.com, they got married, they had a baby. That baby is KV Core. KV Core is one of the most powerful CRMs in the entire industry. And what's crazy is we all get that for free. But how many of us are actually using that CRM? And how many of us are actually using it to its fullest potential? Because I promise you, no matter how successful you are today, you could get to an entirely another level of success if you fully dove in and applied that CRM. I know agents that are selling 100 homes a year that literally just use a day planner and nothing else. If they integrated a CRM, they could go to 200. They could go to 300. They could maybe go to 500 if they actually utilize the CRM. So what I want to encourage you to do, if you take absolutely nothing else from this entire talk, is realize that you have this system that would normally cost you hundreds of dollars a month that's handed to you. And a lot of you aren't using that system. When some of you are using it, but you're not using it to its fullest potential. So I really want to encourage you to dive back into KV Core. It's an insanely powerful system. And take the trainings, do the education, hop on every week to the Q&A sessions, to the mastermind sessions, watch the training videos on their website, like really dive in and embrace this technology, because your CRM, this is where you're organizing your entire business. This is where everybody that you talk to goes. This is how you remember who to call, when to call them, why to call them. You're remembering key dates like birthdays, like anniversary dates, like home anniversary dates. You're remembering that when you talked to somebody 6 months ago, they said, hey, can you call me back in 6 months? Not only do you remember to call them back in 6 months, but when you call them back in 6 months, you also remember that they said they were going on a trip to Hawaii and they were staying at Aulani and it was for little Billy's 5th birthday. And when you talk to that person 6 months from now and you tell them, hey, I remember last time we talked, you guys were going to Aulani for little Billy's birthday. How did it go? Do you know what happens to the level of trust on that conversation? You're not remembering what happened 6 months ago if you're using a day planner or if you don't even have a CRM. So the CRM is the hub of your business, and the spokes of your business are all the other things that feed into that CRM. So those are your lead generation pillars, like Facebook leads, like Zillow leads, like realtor leads, like door knocking, like open houses. But until you have that CRM nailed down first, I don't want you to build out any spokes. Because when they build a wheel in a manufacturing facility, they start with the hub first, and then they build everything off of that hub. So until they have that hub dialed in, there are no spokes on that wheel. So I want to implore you, you have an amazing CRM at your fingertips. If you guys don't know how to get set up with it, just go into EXP Enterprise, and when we're done, it's right there on your dashboard. Just click and get set up with your KV Core account. The next thing I want to talk about is just the importance of studying. And so I touched on it a little bit already, is that with KV Core, they have some amazing training that's already built out for you. I know there's like a top 10 video section that they have on their website. Within EXP World, there's multiple trainings every single week. Last time I checked, there's like 2 or 3 trainings every single week. Like, get on there. Even if you've been using it for 2 years, get on there once a week. It's worth an hour of your day to get on there and see how other people are using it, because this system is very, very powerful. The fact that you can go on there and build behavioral automations and squeeze pages and landing pages and all this crazy stuff, like, do you know it can do all that? Do you know how to do all of that? Probably not. Let's spend a little bit of time. Let's study. Let's really make sure that we understand. No, Polly, it's not for KV Core, but this is the importance of CRM, because I'm going to drive this point home. If you don't want to hear about CRMs, leave the room, because this is an important part of your business. You have got to have a solid CRM in place. The CRM is everything, but you got to know how to use it. You got to study all the features. You've got to know how it works. If you don't want to use KV Core, if you're using something else, then cool, use something else. But you got to have that dialed in, and you got to put the time into it. Your CRM is something where the more that you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. So when you're actually doing things like logging every single call, when you're putting detailed notes in there, when you're setting reminders for yourself, you're building out campaigns. This is part of the study process, is make sure you understand how to have these campaigns built out. Because as you grow, my database right now is over 60,000 leads. Can I personally touch all 60,000 of those leads? Nope. I need to have some systems in place for that. And so it's important you study how your CRM works and build some of those things out. You've got to have some campaigns built in there so that you can use some automation that's automatically touching on your clients on a consistent basis. Because if you're not touching on them consistently, somebody else is. We've got to make sure that we stay on top of our clients. We have to touch on them regularly. And as we get further into this, I'm going to give you the exact follow-up plan that we use in our company. And hopefully you can take that, you can run with it and implement it in your company. Maybe it's identical to ours, maybe it's a little bit different than ours, but I'm going to give you the exact plan that we follow. So put time into understanding how to use your tools. Starts with your CRM, and then as you start to add other layers to it, like let's say you start to add Zillow leads on, make sure you understand all the different types of Zillow leads. Make sure you understand what is the difference between a direct connect versus a profile lead versus a tour it now. Make sure you understand all of those. Make sure you understand the process that somebody goes through before they actually come to you, because it'll help you have context and change your conversation accordingly. So you got to put a lot of work. You got to put study in. What I see a lot of people make the mistake of is that they see somebody on stage who's selling a lot of homes and they're like, oh, that person, they do it all with Zillow leads. And so they just immediately go in and drop $5,000 a month on Zillow leads, but they have no concept of what's actually happening behind the scenes. They just dive into it. They have no follow-up plans in place. They have no scripts. They have nothing. You've got to study. You've got to put these plans in place. This stuff is very, very important. Something that I love utilizing is what's called a do, doing, and done board. It's the way that I organize all of my ideas. Most of us as realtors, we're super high Ds. And as a result, we tend to bounce all over the place. We have so many different things, right? And this, if you guys are attending this entire shareholder summit, you're going to have like 50 ideas of different things you want to implement in your life and in your business. It can get completely overwhelming, and you're going to be pinballing all over the place trying to get 50 million different things done, and you end up getting none of them done. So the system that we use is a do, doing, and done board. The way that it works is you're listening to this, and as you're listening to other sessions here in the Shareholder Summit, all these ideas that you get, you build this board out that has 3 columns. The one on the left is your do board. The one on the left is your do column, the middle is your doing, and the one on the right is your done column. All of these ideas that you get as you are here for this week, they all go in that do column. Where a lot of us realtors make mistakes is this doing column that's in the middle. We have 20 different things in this doing column. But what happens if we're doing 20 different things at once is we don't get anything done. We get 1/20th of 20 different things done. Nothing actually ever gets done. So depending on your ability to multitask, you should only have 1 to 3 things in that doing column. You don't want to put too much in there because you end up getting absolutely nothing done. So let's say you're killer with KV Core, you got your CRM and all that stuff is down, and now you're thinking about what are some of those spokes that I want to add on to it. So maybe you throw Zillow leads on there, maybe you throw Facebook leads on there, maybe you throw door knocking on there. Like those go in your do column, and then slowly move them over to that doing column. You cannot take something out of the do column until you move something from the doing to the done. There should be no more than 3 things in that doing column. We've got to stay laser focused on what it is we're working on. But we also need to make sure we have a place to put all of our ideas, because we tend to forget about these things a lot. So 1, we try to do too many things at once. And 2, we try to do so many things at once, we forget about the things we want to do. So every time you have an idea that pops in your head, you just throw that up on your do column. And then as you have the opportunity, you move something over to doing. When you're done doing something, you move it over to done. And now you can pull something else in. But we've got to work on 1 to 3 things at a time. Those of you that are terrible with multitasking, maybe it's only 1 for you. If you're great at multitasking, it's going to be 3. And I will share the specific tools that we use, but Trello is our preferred tool for this. Next up is the importance of role play. This is something that really, really trips me out, is that, let's just stick on this Zillow example. We're huge fans of Zillow. We love them. It's actually the highest ROI lead that we have in our company. What blows my mind is that somebody will commit to spending $5,000 a month on Zillow leads, but they have never once practiced what they're going to say to that Zillow lead. They've never once practiced how they're going to get that appointment with that lead. They've never once practiced what they're going to say at that appointment and how they're going to close that appointment and how they're going to overcome those objections. think about, let's think about football. It's the off season right now. Are these guys just sitting at home doing nothing, waiting for week 1 of the NFL to come up, and they're like, "Oh, cool, let's throw the pads on, let's get on the field and let's see what happens." Like, that doesn't work. NFL players spend 2 to 3,000 hours a year practicing for 16, or I think it's now 17 hours of game time every single year. And they're only on the field half of that time. So they're only on the field for like 8.5 hours a year. They spend 2 to 3,000 hours training for 8.5 hours of actual game time every single year that count. But here we are as realtors, we don't want to practice at all. We're just like, I'm just going to spend 5 hours on these leads, and they're just magically going to turn into closings, and I'm going to make a ton of money, and it's all going to flow into my bank account. Like, it doesn't work that way. You've got to put that time and energy and effort in. We're in an industry where we have the ability to make NFL money. Our team did $5 million in GCI last year. But you can't earn that NFL money if you don't put that NFL effort into it. And so if you want to put that effort in, you've got to role play. Our team, we role play on the phone every single day, 5 days a week. We alternate between buyer and seller role plays. We also role play our presentations. This is something that trips me out, is that somebody will go spend $5,000 on these internet leads, and some people role play on the phone periodically. Very few people have a consistent regimen of when they role play. And then they role play, how do I set these appointments? Then they show up to the appointment and they completely shit the bed because they haven't ever practiced what to say at the appointment. Like, what the hell did you spend $5,000 a month on these leads for, and spend hours and hours of role play and hours of prospecting to set these appointments, only to show up to the appointment and have absolutely no idea what to say? Like, what the hell are you doing? That's like somebody working, in the NFL and spending their entire lifetime to finally make it to the NFL, and then they finally get their name called. They get on the field, and the quarterback calls a play, and they have no idea where they're supposed to go. They don't know what the route is that they're supposed to run. They stand there and they just get laid out. Like, put some time and energy into this. If you're not role-playing your phone conversations, and you're not role-playing your actual presentations, you're costing yourself tens of thousands of dollars a year. Because think about it like this: most lead sources, online leads, let's look at Facebook, for example, or let's look at a pay-per-click, because most people convert pay-per-click leads at about 1%. If you put the time and energy and effort into role-playing, and you could just increase your conversion rate by 1%, some people are like, oh, big deal, I increased it by 1%. But if your conversion rate prior to that was 1%, and you made it go from 1% to 2%, you just doubled the amount of income you're making. Or if you choose to, you cut in half the amount of time that you actually had to work, just by a 1% increase in your conversion rate. Think about that. Let that soak in, how important conversion rate is. And I promise you, if you put the effort in to increase your conversion rate on the appointments, and you can go from a 50% conversion rate to a 75% conversion rate, which is very, very easy to do, what could that do for your business? What could that do for your life? So I want you to think about your business, and are you truly putting the time and energy and effort in to your business? Are you putting in that NFL effort? Because if you're not going to make NFL money. The next thing that I want to talk about is you've got to have a plan. I touched on it a little bit earlier, but you've got to have a plan of what's happening when these leads are coming in. If your plan is, my phone rings, I answer it, and I try to set an appointment. Okay, I mean, by definition, that's a plan. What happens after that? Do you have a solid plan in place for what happens every single time? Do you have a plan that's actually laid out, mapped out for yourself to follow, and as you grow a team, for your team to follow? Have you ever mapped it out so that you can consistently follow it? Do you have it built out in your CRM to where, all right, lead comes in, email goes out, 5 minutes later, text goes out, the next day this goes out, next day this goes out, the next day, do you have that built out? Because if you don't, you're costing yourself money. You're pushing off from shore in a boat that's full of leaks. Let's seal those leaks up before we push off from shore. We've got to have that plan in place, and we got to know where it is that we're going. Because if we don't have a plan, where the hell are we going? So we built out a couple different plans that I want to share with you guys. The first plan, this is what we refer to in our company as our ideal weekly schedule. And I'll share all these slides with you guys at the end of this so you guys can have a copy of it. If you don't make it to the end, you can message me on Instagram. It's just at Kyle Whistle. I'll happily share this with you. But you've got to have a plan that you're following. You've got to know what it is that you're doing every single day. You've got to time block things. What I see so many people do is they have no calendar. They have nothing. Nothing's planned. They just kind of wing it. They're just like they're just going with the wind. They're like a little dandelion, just flies all over the place, however the wind blows. Like, that's not the way you're going to get to that next level in your business. You've got to have a plan in place. A couple of the mottos that we live and die by is that if it's not in the calendar, it doesn't exist. It has to be in the calendar. The second is that you have to live and die by this calendar. Like, this calendar has to be sacred to you, and you have to respect this calendar. It is so freaking important to respect your calendar. The things on this calendar that are the most important to respect are all of those things that are in green. You've got appointments and prospecting. Those are the most important things in your entire calendar. We talk a lot at our office that the way the hierarchy of life, you've got 1A and 1B, which are your family and religion. And then the next thing is prospecting. And then the next thing is appointments. Like, that's the hierarchy. And when we talk about that hierarchy, the importance of that is that nothing lower can replace something higher. So obviously family and religion comes first. Nothing touches those, right? Those are sacred. Then it goes to prospecting, appointments, and then it's everything else below that. And so the reason that that stuff is important is that everything that's on here in green cannot get replaced. You never replace your prospecting time with going on a home inspection. You never replace your appointment time with following up on escrows. That prospecting time is sacred. The true secret to success of creating a sale every week is prospecting every day. Like, if you guys want the secret, that's it. You've got to prospect every single day. What a lot of agents do, and where they make the mistake, is that they only prospect when they feel like it. Especially new agents, what I see happen is they come in and they're prospecting. They're all about it. They're prospecting every day. All of a sudden they get 3 or 4 deals in escrow, and they're like, oh crap, I'm slammed with these escrows. I don't have time to prospect. And they stop prospecting. And well, then what happens? If you stop prospecting, then you stop generating escrows. Or contracts, for those of you guys that aren't in California. You stop generating contracts. I'm like, oh, well, now I got to prospect again. All right, cool. Now I got contracts. Oh, now I got to go back to prospecting. They teeter-totter back and forth. And what that creates is a roller coaster of income. The only way you're going to consistently have a sale every week is if you consistently prospect every single day. So the stuff that's in green, that's the most sacred time. And you'll see a few times on here that it's written out as appointment/prospecting. The reason for that is, if you don't have an appointment, then you got to prospect, because you obviously haven't done enough prospecting to fill your calendar with appointments. If you've got appointments, then you're going on them. If you don't have appointments, you need to do more prospecting. A couple other things that are important on here, you'll see every morning we start out with a team huddle. Now, obviously this is 7 days, right? I'm just building out 7. You're going to adapt that. Take some time off. It's important. Please don't work 7 days a week. You will burn out. You'll hate real estate. Your kids will hate you. Everybody will hate you. So focus on 5 days a week. Maybe it's 6 days a week. If you don't know this yet, the average realtor works 50 plus hours a week. So if you're working 20 plus hours a week and you're wondering why you're not doing the production of the other guy or gal in your office that's doing 50 deals, it's because you're working 20 hours and they're working 50. Just gonna shoot straight with you. We like to start every day with a team huddle, and that's all of our team hopping on together. Each day we cover different things. Mondays we do goal recap from the week before. Tuesdays we do goal setting. Wednesdays we have our Zillow rep hop on, and she actually reviews specific calls that happened over the last week and coaches us on how we can do better on those calls. Thursdays we have our lenders on that keep us up to speed with what's going on with loans, rates, changes. Obviously there's a ton of changes right now during COVID. And then Fridays we share wins. We love to find out what everybody has had happen that week that they consider a win. We love to share that on a Friday, so we go into the weekend on a really high note. And then we role play every day at 8:30. We alternate buyers on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, sellers on Tuesday, Thursday. And then we go into prospecting. We go right in from role play to prospecting. Think about, we'll stick with football, right? You don't just walk out on the field and take the kickoff, right? The guys get there early. They get warmed up. They get loose. They practice a little bit. Then they go out on the field and actually play the game. That role play, that's your time to get warmed up. That's your time where it's okay to drop the pass that comes to you. It's okay to fumble the ball. Get those out of the way and then hop on the calls, get in the game. Prospecting, this is another one that stuck with me since I started in this industry, is the phone gets heavier as the day goes on. If you're trying to do your prospecting at 4 p.m. every day, let me know how that's working out for you. Because I promise you it's not. Got to get those prospecting calls done early, because there's way too much that happens in your day between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. If let's say 4 p.m. is when you plan to do your prospecting, there's so much that happens between the time you wake up and 4 p.m. Like, are you really motivated at 4 p.m.? Also, how many other things do you have on your mind by the time 4 p.m. comes around? Like, are you really on your A game at that point? Probably not. So make sure you get that prospecting done first thing every day. There's a saying, eat the frog. Just get the hard part over with, because everything else will be easy from there. But you're significantly more likely to get your prospecting done if you do it first thing in the morning than if you try to do it later in the day. Then we roll in to office work. Once we've done prospecting, all right, now we can do office work. Office work is checking emails, following up on phone calls, logging notes from our prospecting, organizing calendar, doing all of that stuff. Then we're usually going out to lunch. After lunch, we do a lot of lead and transaction follow-up. Then we do a lot of office work. And then the end of the day, that's time to go on more appointments. And if we don't have more appointments, then we're doing more prospecting, because we need to set more. You also notice a trend. I like happy hour. I like to drink. Sometimes it's kind of nice to get out and have a drink and unwind at the end of a long day. Maybe you don't drink. Go have a coffee. Go have a Jamba Juice or something like that. A couple other things that you'll see on this is that we do our office meeting every single week. We like to get together in person every week and share our office meeting topics. We don't plan out an entire year in advance. We plan them a week in advance, because we want to make sure that the topics are timely. Like right now, if you had your whole year planned out of meeting topics, are they relevant to what's happening today? Because things are changing rapidly. So we do a meeting every Tuesday, and then we do our role play in person every Wednesday. Something else that you should make sure you have in your calendar, you'll see on Wednesday, is that you should have some business building built into your calendar, at least an hour a week. And that's just purely where you recap your entire business. Where have I been in the last week? What else am I working on? This is a really good time to go through your doing, done board and look at where you're at and what do you need to add. So make sure you actually have some business building time built in there. You'll see on the weekends, open houses. These are a core part of our business. We'll sell 50 houses this year from open houses, so you're talking 30 plus million from open houses. Obviously, we just flip those over to virtual right now. No big deal. Just roll with the punches. If you guys want to see an example of how we do our virtual opens, just go to virtual.kylewhistle.com. Virtual.kylewhistle.com. You can see exactly how we're doing those. So open houses are a huge part of what we do on the weekends. But I love getting a little prospecting done in the morning time, preferably Saturdays. A lot of the country, Sundays is kind of that sacred day. We take it off. I personally take Sundays off, but I love getting a little prospecting done in the morning. It's amazing how many people you can reach on a Saturday morning that you couldn't reach during the week. So I encourage you to make sure you have a little prospecting time built in on the weekends. And then the rest of the day on the weekend, that's when we're doing an open house. And then we're doing our appointments, we're doing door knocking, whatever else it is that we're incorporating into our business. But this is the plan that we follow. So I wanted to make sure, share that. And again, I'll upload these slides at the end of it. And if you have to leave early, just shoot me a DM on Instagram and I will get those to you. The other part of the plan that's really important is what's happening when leads are coming in. We talked about you got to have a CRM, because you got to have something that's organizing all these leads that are coming in, but you also got to have a plan that you're following. So what we do every time a new lead comes in, there's a plan. We war dial the lead. As soon as it comes in, what is war dial? It's dialing it 3 straight times. So when a lead comes in, I'm dialing it, no answer, hang up, dial it, hang up, no answer, dial it. It's 3 times in a row. I know in your head you're saying, oh, they're going to be so mad at me, they're going to yell at me, they're going to be pissed off. Like, you're the only person saying that. That's in your head. That's a limiting belief. Nobody else is. I promise you, my team does this every single day. None of them have gotten shot. None of them have gotten stabbed. None of them have gone missing. It's in your head that stuff's going to happen. And worst case, if somebody does start yelling at you, like, why did you call me 3 times? Oh, you know what? I'm really sorry. I was having some trouble with the Bluetooth. My apologies. Hey, by the way, my name is Kyle. You were searching around on Zillow. I saw you checked out 123 Main Street. When would you like to see it? Just get it over with. Just acknowledge it and then move on. One of the sales strategies I learned early in my career, it's called answer and ask or acknowledge and ask. Every time something happens in a conversation, like in that scenario, acknowledge it and then ask a question. This is how you control conversations. If somebody asks you a question, answer the question and then ask them a follow-up question. Answer and ask. Answer and ask, acknowledge and ask is a very important part of sales. That's how you keep conversations going. That's how you keep avoiding the lulls in conversations. This is how you ensure that you talk significantly less than they do. Your whole goal in conversations is to get people talking. So you do the war dial. As soon as that's done, you're going to send them a text and then you're going to send them an email, ideally a video email. It's amazing what happens when you send video emails versus just scripted, pre-planned emails. Because when somebody can see your face, they can understand that you're a real human. And you just shoot a simple message, right? It's just, hey, Billy, it's Kyle here at Whistle Realty Group. Man, I want to thank you so much for hopping on that Zillow website. I saw you were checking out a property on 123 Main Street. I'd love to show it to you. Just want to send you this video so you know there's a real person here. Now you have a face to put with the name. Send me an email back or give me a call. Let me know when you want to go check that place out. That's it. 15-second video. It's amazing what that will do for your conversion rates when you actually send somebody a video. So then what we do, depending on whether or not we made contact, if we made contact, we're going to qualify and determine what category they're going to go in. Hot is 0 to 30 days for us. Nurture is 30 to 90. Watch is 90 to 180. Archive is 180 plus. And trash is if we have 0 valid contact info for people. This is the plan that we follow. If we don't contact them after those first 3 hits, then we put them into the buy or die plan. And what that consists of is we call them every day for the first week, every week for the first month, and every month thereafter until they buy or die. That's the simple plan. We also send them text. We also send them emails. You guys have the whole plan there. Again, I'll share this with you. You can just follow on Insta at Kyle Whistle, and I can send this over to you guys as well. But that's the plan we're going to follow. If they're hot, we're going to talk to them every week. If they're nurture, every 2 weeks. If they're watch, every week. If they're archive, every quarter. But we're going to consistently talk to these people. It's amazing what happens. I just signed a listing agreement this week with a client that was one of the first clients I ever worked with, like 15 years ago. But they reached out to me because I've stayed in touch with them over all these years. I followed up with them once a quarter. Lo and behold, they're like, hey, can you help us sell our condo? We're probably going to need to sell our house soon too. That's what happens when you actually have a plan and you follow the plan. A couple other things. Make sure that you have everybody that's in your database. Make sure you have a drip set up so you're sending them property matches on a consistent basis. Make sure you're sending them what stuff is selling for in their neighborhood. Those are super important things because everybody who's buying, they want to know what's for sale. Everybody who owns wants to know what's sold. That's what they want to know. And it's phenomenal. I signed a $800,000 listing this week, and it was a guy who owned a condo, and he responded to one of my drips of properties for sale. And it was like, hey, Kyle, we're thinking about selling mom's condo. Give me a call. It literally had nothing to even do with the properties I sent him. It was just me staying in front of him, staying top of mind and providing value to him, caused him to reach out to me and ask about selling. So you've got to have a plan in place. I'm super excited. I will share this thing with you. I'm happy to give it to you guys, and I'll share the slides at the end of this. So that's the buy or die plan. Again, I want to leave some time for Q&A at the end, so I'm going to keep going through it, but you guys will get a copy of this. Next thing that's really important in your business is you've got to track and measure. You've got to know what's going on in your business. We'll just keep sticking with this $5,000 Zillow analogy. If you're spending $5,000 on Zillow leads, you should know how many leads did I generate, so you know what your cost per lead is. You should know how many of those leads did I close, so you can now figure out your conversion rate. And then you should know how much money did I generate from those closings, so that you can know your return on investment. If you're not, that's just the basic level. If you're not tracking that, so again, cost per lead, how many closings did I have? What's my conversion rate? And what's my return on investment? If you're not tracking that, what are you doing? How do you know how much money you're spending and if it's even a wise investment? I've met people at events where they tell me they're spending $5,000 a month on Zillow leads. And they're like, I love Zillow. It's great. I closed 15 homes from it this year. Okay, cool. How much commission did that earn you? Oh my God, it was like $50,000 in commission. Okay, let's do some simple math, champ. Spent $5,000 a month times 12 months. That's $60,000. And you generated $50,000 in commission? You see a problem with that? And they were excited that they closed 12 deals and made 50,000. It's like, what? You're an idiot. You actually lost money. So you got to track and measure. You got to know what's happening in your business. You should be tracking every dollar that you spend. You got to know if something makes sense. Got to know what's going on with your business. So if you're buying Facebook leads, if you're buying, we actually started doing Craigslist leads a couple years ago. We used to do Craigslist leads like a decade ago and they killed it for us. And I was like, you know what, everybody stop doing that. Everybody's zigging. Let's zag. Let's go back to Craigslist. It was a huge mistake, but I wouldn't have known it was a mistake if I didn't track and measure it. Because what I found is I generated 1,400 leads, which on the surface is super sexy. Like, oh my God, I got 1,400 leads and my cost per lead was really, really low. The problem was we converted one. What's the conversion rate? 1 divided by 1,400. Like, I don't even know what that 0.000 something, like it's a terrible number. If I wasn't tracking that and measuring it, I wouldn't know that that was actually a terrible idea. While on the surface, it looked like a really good idea to be generating that many leads. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I'm giving my team all these leads, but I was actually doing more harm than good because I was giving them a ton of terrible leads that didn't convert. And so it was actually demoralizing my team and it was burying their self-esteem. And what ended up happening is they started associating those Craigslist leads with the Zillow leads. The Zillow leads that were costing me $100+. They're like, oh, your leads suck. They all suck. The Craigslist leads suck, but the Zillow leads didn't. As soon as we got rid of the Zillow leads, my agents will fight tooth and nail now for those Zillow leads that they actually thought sucked a couple years ago when we were all in on Craigslist. They actually didn't think those leads were very valuable. Now they'll do anything to get those Zillow leads today because they convert at such a high rate. So you got to track and measure your business. You should know where your money's going and what your return on investment is. Because if you've got something that's giving you a 10-to-1 return on investment, double down on it. Conversely, if you've got something that's giving you a 1-to-10 return on investment, cut it. On the radio station here in San Diego, they used to do a segment called Pump It or Dump It. This is something that's really good for you to do on, at least a semi-annual basis, if not a quarterly basis. Go through and look at all of the lead sources, look at your conversion rates, look at your return on investment, and either pump it or dump it. If something's working for you, like Zillow works for us, we just increased our spend, we just pumped it. Whereas a couple years ago, we looked at Craigslist, we realized how bad our conversion rate was, we dumped it. So pump it or dump it is something, a little exercise that you can do. And I do this every year at the end of the year as well. We look at our whole entire P&L and look at every dollar we spend and do we really need this? Got to track and measure this stuff. Almost done, 2 slides left and then we'll do some Q&A. Something that's really important if you guys really want to crush it and close a sale every week, you got to treat every client like they're your only client. So those of you that are newer, this is easy for you, right? If you've only got one client, it's easy to treat them like they're your only client because they really are. So those of you that are newer, just getting started or you're not where you want to be, this is easy for you. It's actually harder for somebody like me that's got, closed 500 deals this year. It's hard to treat every client like they're your only client. So build these good habits when you're young, when you're new, because it gets a lot harder as you get older. So treat every client like they're your only client. Something that I recommend that you do, whether you have 5 past clients or 5,000 past clients like we do, is throw what most people call a client appreciation event. We like to call them friends and family events. You should regularly have events for your clients. Some of the things we do, so the image that I put on here, this is a movie. We do a movie day. We rent out an entire movie theater. We invite all of our past clients, which we consider our friends and our family. We invite them all to come out. Luckily, we got it in like 1 week before the stay-at-home order this year. We got pretty lucky on that. So we invite them all to come out to a movie. It's something really cool. We had like 500 people show up to it. And that gives us some time to hang out with our clients and just further those relationships and keep those relationships going. And what's cool is when you do these events, we do 3 a year right now. We do these 3 separate events. Well, every time we do an event, we're going to send them something in the mail. We're going to send them an email. We're going to send them a text message, and we're going to call them. We're going to touch them 4 times a year, every single time we do one of these events. It's so important to touch people on a consistent basis. Think about that. If you touch 4 times a year and you do 3 events a year, that's 12 touches just right there. In addition, you've got drips of properties and all of that other stuff that you have going on. So important. And when you do these things, you're not asking for anything in return. You're just giving. Just like, hey, come join me. We've done Easter egg hunts. We do a holiday party every year, and we have Santa there, and we take photos. We do barbecues. We've done like UFC fight nights at the office, and wine and paint things and do things like that. Just do happy hours. It's amazing what happens when you do those things. When you call your client and you're not asking for anything. It's just, hey, Michelle, how's it going? Yeah, I wanted to invite you out. We're going to have this killer event. We got the whole movie theater rented out. We're going to play the new Disney Onward movie. I'd love for you and Billy to come join us. It'd be really good to see you guys. When there's no ask, it's insane what happens on those phone calls. Because then magically they're like, you know what, X, I'm glad you called. I was just thinking about reaching out to you. We're looking to make a move. Every time we do one of these events, we pick up 5 to 10 transactions. It's amazing. And what happens is a lot of times it's not even people that show up to the events. We just magically get people that come out of the woodworks that we haven't talked to in a while that reach out and say, hey, I'm thinking about selling. I'm thinking about buying. Sorry, I missed the event. It's crazy what happens. So make sure you guys are doing some events. Again, we like to call them friends and family events. Stephanie was asking how many people go to the events. Anywhere from 100 to our barbecue in the summer is 500 plus people. What I want to finish with today is just a couple of the spokes, right? We've laid a lot of foundation right now. We've talked a lot about the importance of the hub. I just want to lay out a couple of the spokes and things that we use in our business on a consistent basis. For organizing ideas, so we talked about those do, doing, and done boards. Trello, they have a free version. Trello is amazing. You can also collaborate with team members and everything on there. Trello is fantastic for do, doing, and done boards. And we use those when we do our events as well. So we organize like who's working on what, who's lining up the photographer, who's coordinating with the movie theater, who's getting the red carpet. Like we use Trello a lot for event planning. For our tracking and measuring, we use Sisu. Sisu is a fantastic system. We also track and measure things like our phone calls. How many dials did we make? How many conversations did we have? How many appointments did we set? How many of those appointments showed up? How many of those actually signed contracts with us? I want to know that stuff because we can figure out, if you think about that flow there, dials, conversations, appointments set, appointment shows, and then signed. I want to see where's the kink in the hose. If we're not getting enough flow out of the back end of that hose, there's a kink in the hose somewhere. Sisu helps me realize where's that kink in the hose. If the problem I'm having is we're setting appointments but they're not showing up, well, now we got to work on our scripting around when we set those appointments. What's the value proposition for somebody to show up to the appointment? If we're setting the appointments and they're showing, but then they're not, converting into signed contracts, now we got to work on what's happening at the appointment. So we love tracking and measuring. Sisu tracks that stuff for us. It also tracks return on investment and all of those things I was talking about. We love using BombBomb for video. So we talked about sending video emails or video text. BombBomb is the best, hands down. If for some reason you don't want to spend money, you don't see the value in BombBomb, there's another service called Soapbox. And it's made by a company called Wistia. If you want a free version, if you're just getting started, you're literally broke as a joke, can't afford anything, get Soapbox. It's better than nothing. But BombBomb, once you get some cash in the bank, invest in BombBomb. It's one of the best systems out there. We love call action for incoming phone calls. The reason I love it is that every single time somebody calls me or one of my team members, that person who called automatically gets imported into my CRM. No longer do they get notes written on a napkin and then forgotten about, only to get thrown away by the car wash. It makes sure every lead that calls in automatically gets imported into my CRM. And we also have some follow-up sequences that are built into that. Call action's phenomenal to make sure things don't slip through the cracks. I look at that as part of my loss prevention department. Last one, loving on clients. This is one of the newer ones that we've really dove in head first on. It's called Client Giant. They have a killer service where we just put all of our past clients on it. I spend $100 a year. They send them out 4 extremely thoughtful gifts, one every quarter. We just started with them. I just did a little test the first time around. I had gifts go out to 85 clients. I had 45 clients personally reach out to me to say thank you. Think about that. I got 45 people to reach out to me, right? Normally, our entire business, we're constantly trying to track people down and get in conversation with them. I had 45 people initiate conversations with me because they were so thankful. I even had people shoot videos because they were so stoked on what they got sent, and they posted videos on social media of them like unboxing the gift. What's the power of that? You can't buy that. Like, that's insane. So Client Giant is phenomenal. They have something where they have a top of mind campaign that will work for all of your past clients. And they also have some systems for your current clients. So as soon as you put a deal under contract, you can put people on a campaign, and it'll send them like moving boxes and all kinds of like cool things and different milestones throughout the transaction to really just separate you from the competition and make sure people have an amazing experience, because those past clients are the most important thing. If you really put the work in with all of those past clients, it will literally be a deal a week every single year for the rest of your career if you just do nothing but focus on those past clients. So that's what I got for you guys today. I hope you got a lot of value. I know I drove the point home hard with the CRM and KV Core, but that's the foundation. That's where it all starts. Got to have that hub in place first before we add any of the spokes to it. So that's what I got for you guys. I think we got a few minutes. We'll grab a couple questions here in the Q&A. So if you guys have some questions, throw them in there. There's been a ton of posts, but I'd love to answer a couple questions again. If let me get these slides uploaded while we're loading it too. So those slides are uploading in there. There you go. Slides are in the chat, so feel free to grab those. Do you do any training? Rhonda wants to know, do you do any training on Trello? Honestly, just start with the basics with Trello of the doing, done board. Don't worry about anything complicated. Don't go too far with it. Something I'm really big on is just layering things. Don't try to use every feature day one. Just start with the basic doing, and done board, Rhonda, and then you can slowly add a few things onto it over time. Client Giant, $100 a year. Yeah, I'll throw a link in here for you. And I think they'll do a little special thing when you get started with it. But Client Giant, $100 a year, and they'll send them 4 things every single year. And they're like personalized, well thought out gifts. Like, they're super, super cool. Let's see. Would I be open to sharing the scripts you're using on our team? Right now, Mark, the script we're using is what Zillow recommends, which is ALM. It's appointment, location, motivation. One of the mistakes I see a lot of people make when leads come in, we used to use LP Mama, and we'd ask people like a million questions and then finally go to set an appointment for them. And Zillow's run a lot of studies, and they've realized that that's not the best way to go. The reason for that is, the analogy I use is, think about blackjack, right? Which we all want to get to. We want to get out to Vegas right now and have some fun. So think about blackjack. When you want to play blackjack, you roll up to that blackjack table and you set $100 down on the table because you want to play blackjack. What would happen if you walked up to that table, put the $100 down, and the dealer asked you like 20 questions before they would actually take your money, give you change, and deal you cards? You'd get frustrated. You'd get up, you'd walk away, and you'd go to the next table over. What they do when you walk up to a blackjack table is you put the $100 down, they give you the chains, they start they start giving you cards, and then they say, "Hey Kyle, what brings you to town?" "Oh, cool. Where are you guys staying?" "Oh, is it just you and the wife, or you guys have some friends here?" Like, then they start asking you those questions. You need to do the same thing. When a lead comes in, don't overqualify the lead first. They don't want to tell you all of that stuff. So when a lead comes in, it's very simple. It's, "Hey, it's Kyle Whistle. The team at Zillow asked me to connect with you regarding 123 Main Street. When would you like to see it?" That's our open. Just go straight for the appointment, right? That's just like dealing somebody the cards when they sit down at the table. Don't try to overqualify on that initial call. Appointment, then go into location. "Hey, I see that home is in San Diego. What is it that attracts you to San Diego?" And then motivation. The question I love to ask is, in a perfect world, when would you be in that new home in San Diego? Those are the three questions that I like to ask on a consistent basis. Let's see. Somebody, Cheryl asked, where do you incorporate personal errands and appointments on your schedule? I have a personal assistant for that stuff. He's literally in the other room helping to put a desk together for me right now. One of the other things that I learned early in my career and has stuck with me is that if you don't have an assistant, you are the assistant. You have got to have somebody in your business that helps take those errand tasks off your plate. At some point today, he's going to go pick up my dry cleaning for me. My time is worth $500 an hour minimum. Now that I'm at EXP, it's worth more like $1,000 an hour. If I go and spend 30 minutes to go pick up my dry cleaning and come back, I just cost myself $250. Meanwhile, I can pay somebody $20 an hour that can take those tasks off my plate. Let's see, we'll hit one last.
I was just going to say, last call for questions, guys. Take one last one, and then we're going to make room for our next presenter.
Yeah, I'll just hit those questions again because there were a few people that asked about ALM. So first thing in the open of the script is, hey, this is Kyle Whistle. The team at Zillow asked me to connect with you regarding 123 Main Street. When would you like to see it? And something you'll notice in there, I didn't say this is Kyle Whistle with eXp Realty. Like, they don't care what brokerage I'm with. Like, that doesn't matter. It's more important you connect to the source of the lead than it is your brokerage. They don't care about your brokerage. That's worthless to them. Make sure you make the connection with how you got their contact info. So, hi, this is Kyle Whistle. The team at Zillow asked me to connect with you regarding 123 Main Street. When would you like to see it? Set the appointment. Then you ask a couple follow-up questions. Location question is, I see that home is in San Diego. What is it that attracts you to San Diego? Third question, when we talk about motivation, in a perfect world, when would you be in that new home in San Diego? Those three questions, just focus on those. Don't try to pre-qualify them and mortgage and all that other stuff. Just focus on those three. Set the appointment. That will be a complete game changer for you guys. Again, if you guys didn't get a copy of the slides, they should be there in the chat. You can follow me on Instagram at Kyle Whistle. I'm happy to share anything that you guys missed. Thank you so much and have an awesome week.
We're going to go ahead and have a short break here, about 5 minutes, and then we are going to welcome Micah Ruat up to the stage. Always an amazing presentation from Micah. So I hope you can stick around, and we will see you in just a few minutes.
Hey, Ali, you want to go outside? You want to ask them to like click on welcome area, go to welcome area, and we'll just talk again?